Hi everyone, this is Sara here. I'm a rebirthing breathworker and I've been a friend, student, and organizer for Leonard since 2002. Many of you know me through my work at leonardbooks.com as the editor of Leonard's Rebirth International newsletter and his membership manager, and in years past I was also his publisher of the Conscious Connection quarterly newsletter. And I'm here today talking with Heike Strombach. She is perhaps Leonard's closest student and his lead trainer, and she's traveled all over the world with him, assisting and teaching for 28 years. So I'm very grateful to be in her presence here today and for this conversation about her life with Leonard and the decades of dedication to his work that she's given to all of us. So Heike, hello, welcome.
Hi, Sara.
Hi. And
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. And I'm calling you today, and you are in Spain. You just finished with the life celebration for Leonard.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit how that went?
Yes, we had a beautiful celebration yesterday, and there were about 30 people. And we started off with Arti, and we at the end of the Arti we were singing for a long time Om Namah Shivaya, and there was an explosion in the stove in the back of the room, and it was like there was so much power here and Leonard's presence. It was just the most beautiful experience.
Wow.
And during this training, this 9-day training with Katja Bustani and Irene Jovi Baumann and me, many people experienced Leonard's presence here. And this morning we did the sacred Havan, the Indian fire ceremony, and we also honored Leonard's life, and it was very powerful and beautiful. So the training is now ended, and yes, everybody felt very close to Leonard and his life and what he has given to us, and everybody still experiences presence. So it's continuing.
That's really beautiful. That's so heartwarming to hear and to feel it.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you. So I'd like to start our little conversation here by reading something that you wrote in the last newsletter that we sent out. You shared this. I spent my last 28 and a half years in constant interaction and exchange with Leonard, many months every year, teaching together and traveling all around the world. I have lots of fun stories and thoughts to share, lots of interesting and deep, meaningful stories. He was the most loving and conscious person I have ever met. And I know a lot of people feel that way about Leonard as well. And I'm wondering, can you tell me a little bit about how you first met Leonard and just your process and how you came into being a friend and lead trainer for 28 years?
Yes, I first met him in Campbell Hot Springs. I was traveling around the United States or California at that time, and I heard about rebirthing before, and I was visiting different hot springs, and I came to Campbell Hot Springs and was very fascinated, and I joined the community and did the 3-week training. At the end of the first week, Leonard came. He was living in Chico at the time, and I always joked. He said, "Stay another 2 weeks," and I always said, "I'm still here." After 28 years now, and so I felt very connected to him, and as I have a lot of love for India, I also felt my path with him was a devotional path, and so I became one of his 2 disciples in 1991, and we did a sacred initiation. and it was very beautiful. And it was the most powerful and challenging relationship over all these years, because in that commitment that we both had for each other, I couldn't leave. Many times I've thought, the challenges, he was very unique, very strong personality, and very strong in his decision making. I felt many times, also because of my emotional history and story and things coming to it up in my emotional mind, that I should run away from that relationship. But my dedication and his love, and yes, we spent all these years in very personal and constant interaction.
It's amazing. And what was maybe your most favorite or impactful, like really exceptional memory with Leonard? And I know there's a lot, but is there one that stands out in your mind right now?
Yes, we actually talked about that yesterday. We had many people stand up yesterday and share about their stories and their meetings with Leonard and what was special to them in their memories about Leonard. And one it's just a fun memory. He had, when we were living in Chico, at his house in Chico.
That's in California?
In California, yes. He had, at some point, he had 2 rattlesnakes in his garage.
Oh my goodness.
And I was telling that yesterday. And so Leonard was, we decided to catch them and drop them off on the other side of the river.
Oh, wow.
And Leonard was standing behind the hose, a water hose, directing the rattlesnake in my direction, and I was standing there with a big barrel.
Oh.
And he directed the rattlesnake into the barrel. I was holding it, and as soon as the rattlesnake was in, I had to turn it upside down.
Oh my goodness.
And so in that way, we caught 2 rattlesnakes and 1 green viper. And so there were the rattlesnakes in one big barrel, and the viper in the other one. And then I was sitting with his daughter on the back of the car, and we were dropping them on the other side of the river. So wow. My experiences with Leonard, he was very daring and trustful, and also very conscious in regards to nature. And so I always remember I was totally trustful, because Leonard said, they know that we don't want to harm them. And I trusted Leonard. And yes, and we had many experiences in which his courage or his trust in life, his trust in Babaji, moved me through things that I would not have done alone. So he gave me a lot of confidence and courage, and also he gave me lots of feedback for my personal growth as well. So he sometimes his feedback was also quite intense and put me into a healing process.
Sure.
for many days or weeks.
It's for as long as it takes, right?
For as long as it takes, yes. But he was always there, and he always listened and helped me and guided me and supported me, and I supported him and his work, and leading the trainings together. We were a real good team.
Yeah.
So I was very blessed all these years to work with him, and it was challenging. So, but I'm very grateful for all the time that we had together.
That's beautiful. And what do you think about his idea of physical immortality? Can you talk a little bit about that?
When I heard the idea the first time, I thought that's the answer. I had many personal friends die early, also in early age, for me, by motorcycle accidents and car accidents. And I was working as a nurse in the nursing home and holding hands with many dying people. So when I heard the idea of physical immortality for the first time, I thought, wow, that is a solution for all that suffering that I had seen, and the loss and the grief. And so when I heard it the first time, this idea made so much sense and really touched my heart. So I totally love this idea.
Hmm. And you, so you've shared a close connection with Leonard all these years, right up just to months before his passing. And as you know, a lot of people are asking what has happened, how did he die? And I know that this is a really sensitive, delicate subject for you and for those who are very close to him. But is there anything that you can share with the community about this at this time?
Yes, it is a delicate subject, but I think over the last years, it was a process over many years. And I think there were many signs when I look back, also that he ignored, or let's put it that way, his belief in physical immortality was so strong till his last conscious moment, when still he laughed about the idea that he was supposed to die. That his belief was on such a high level. But I think for him also, he made decisions, and there was, his emotional mind was also still processing things. And one of the messages that I received through a friend after his passing was that that he also still had to heal his emotional mind. And so he had a challenge hearing for many years before, and I think that also made him withdraw more into himself. And I sometimes challenged him and said, "You're not listening." But he said he was listening, and so there were different physical challenges that he had, and he always talked about his skin cancer and the Hoxsey treatment that he would always have. So he always shared about that freely. But I think there were also a lot more emotions and maybe some deep sadness about experiences in his life that ultimately also challenged his heart.
Mm.
And so then that was a big challenge. And also a couple of strokes that he that changed a lot for him, and it changed his relationship with life, how he participated in life, how interested he was in life. And it was, I think, a period over many, many years, because also he was working all the time. He had to work to sustain the training center, and he had to support his family, and I think he grew tired, more tired than he actually realized. and he was not taking the time off. Like many times he said, now I'm staying home for the whole year. But then ultimately he never did that. And so it was a challenge also, because he got quite skinny already a few years ago. So he had many challenges. But he himself, he always trusted that he was on the right path, that he was safe and protected. He did have sometimes maybe doubts about if he was doing the right thing, but ultimately he trusted his physical immortality.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and at the end, his Hoxie, he wasn't, his Hoxie medication, he did not have that at the end, and a few other challenges. So I think there were many things that went wrong. And in retrospect, we can all say, if we should have done that, we should have done that, and it's not worth going that way.
Yeah. Hindsight isn't necessarily, you can see more clearly with hindsight than maybe in the moment, perhaps. Yeah.
But he always trusted that our power of our thoughts, and that we have it in our hands, and so Leonard always says that when a person dies, they teach us something. And so what I learned from Leonard's death actually is we need spiritual community around us. We need people around us who can start our fire.
Do you mean that literally, who can support us in doing the practices? And
yes. And Leonard always kept the training center because he wanted to have a place where people can come and do healing and are supported while they're going through their process. And he did not have a community, and it was too much for Elvie alone. And he needed people who were living the practices together with him and could encourage him. So I think his teaching on spiritual community and spiritual enlightenment and spiritual purification, they totally worked. And when we get into the place where we are not so capable or able to do it for ourselves, we do need people that help us with it. So that's what I'm learning from it.
And so maybe for people that are questioning, does the idea of physical immortality work? Does healing with elements, does that really work? What I'm hearing is that for you, the teaching is that to have community around you when you're perhaps if you're in a place where you can no longer maintain the practices, to be supported around people that can do that for you.
Yes. Yeah. He did not have very much fire over the last maybe year of his life.
Yeah, that's a lot to I'm thinking he has this worldwide community of people who love him and who, walk the talk of his teachings of, healing with elements and doing the work on the emotional mind. But even with that, I'm remembering Leonard telling me, that he wanted to build an immortal community, and I could see that hadn't happened yet in his town, around him personally in his life. So
Yes.
Really
Well, yes, the immortal community and also my friends, most of them are all around the world. So at my house also, I would not have that support. So, and that's one of the things for me in the future that I need to build my community around me.
Yeah, great. And so how do you see yourself now going forward and continuing with your work as a rebirthing breathwork trainer? Do you have plans for the future with your work?
Well, it is very, very clear for me. And one of the messages from Leonard that I received was to just relax and do my work. And my work is just continuing just as I've been doing with Leonard. And that's basically the 9-day initiation training and rebirthing, the 9-day basic training for spiritual purification and rebirthing, and then the 3-week training as well, the 3-week professional training. So I have now many trainings scheduled. I will be leading a training in January starting in Germany. And then I have a training in March after we take Leonard's ashes to Hedakan. I have a training in India.
Can you talk a little bit about, I'm sorry to interrupt, can you talk a little bit about the training in March and the ashes? Will there be a ceremony or is it?
Well, I'm just in the process of communicating with people. Yes, we will do hopefully a worldwide gathering again, like what we did here yesterday, and take his ashes to Hedakan and have a sacred ceremony with him and doing chanting and it's I don't like the feeling of grief. I mean, I'm processing my grief, and I think I'm doing good with it, and I'm looking at it. But I prefer to be more in gratitude. And so our life celebrations are basically expressing the gratitude. And so also when we go to Hedakan, just expressing our gratitude for all his contributions. Rebirthing is such a beautiful experience that people have, and Leonard's life work totally worked. And all the people that have benefited from rebirthing, and including also spiritual purification, it's just a tremendous impact that he had on this planet. And so the life celebration in Hedakan will also be honoring his mission, and so in regards to physical immortality, he always used to say, "You can't trust me till I'm 300 years old." Because he was aware that we all have our emotional mind. He never called himself, "I'm an immortal yogi." He always said, "I'm in the process," and that he was still learning. And he was always looking for Babaji and the immortal masters. And so physical immortality is about happiness in life. It is about living life to the fullest, being a conscious, artistic expression of the divine spirit. And that includes the physical body. That includes that we are healthy, that we are alive. And so all these teachings have nothing to do with Leonard's choice or Leonard's experiences right now, because the idea is so much bigger than our personal life. It's just divine potential. our divine potential. And Leonard was way ahead of his time. And for him to bring out the idea of physical immortality, he had to face many challenges. I remember one talk in Germany where there were 80 people, and many of the German rebirthers at the time, that was in 1992, and they were outraged about Leonard talking about the immortal yogis, and they were just challenging him. And Leonard just sat on stage and listened to them patiently, and listened till the anger in these people calmed down. And so he was facing lots of challenges for putting out this radical idea that is way ahead. Now scientists are proving that you can regrow organs, that we have healing ability, that all these things that we are talking about, that can actually scientifically be a reality. And life extension is something that everybody is working on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's going for total healing and health in the body. Yeah.
Yes. So in India, it will just be going to Hedakan because he loved Hedakan. But he loved it more when, of course, when Babaji was there, because when spiritual community lives together, that can be quite challenging, and so
Sure.
but he loved it as Babaji's home. And then we do the 3-week training afterwards in Rishikesh, and it starts off with a 9-day training, and there was already a lot of people registered, actually, internationally.
That's great. And how
then
would
I have another
register? How would people be able to register or get in touch with you if they're interested in any of these?
Yes, so the easy way to connect with me is my email address, which is my name, Heike Strombach @gmail.com. And my website is Heike Strombach @wordpress.com.
Heike Strombach @wordpress.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the easy way to find out about me and my trainings. Great. And I plan to be in Sinai in Egypt in May, and then I also plan to be in the United States in September.
Well, fantastic. We'll be glad to have you here.
Yes.
Great. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the community now before we go?
Well, I just like to say that Rebirth International, or the Rebirthing Breathwork Association that we are a very strong core group. And that, of course, includes you, Sara, and then there's Peace Arnold, who is the main communicator on Facebook and over the internet. And then, of course, now I'm here also with Katja Bustani and Irene Jovi Baumann. And we are working on making it more available to people. And Leonard's work definitely will continue and grow even stronger, because it's the most beautiful experience that people can have, to go through the trainings and become a conscious master of their life.
Yes. Well, I don't think we can end on anything more beautiful than that. It truly is such an honor and just almost miracle to initiate people into the power of their own breath and awakening to the depth of that. That's something that's just beyond what the mind can really experience or define. It goes beyond the mind, really. Yeah.
Yes, and so Leonard wrote so many books and so many articles, and there is so much to take in and to contemplate about, and it's enriching our life. It's really enriching our life, the beauty and the clarity of his teaching. And for some people, his ideas might be very challenging, like the idea of the death urge, or the idea of emotional energy pollution, you know, but we all experience it in some ways. We experience the impact that other people have on our life, and it's a reality. It's not just a thought, it is reality. When you're in the presence of an uplifting person, you suddenly feel elevated. And if you are in the presence of a very depressed and sad person, you suddenly can also feel the same emotions that the people are feeling. And so Leonard has pointed out a lot of very deep, meaningful thoughts that we can contemplate. And these thoughts are still available, and we will work with them. And I will continue to honor Leonard's life mission. And so are you, and all the people that work with us, and Kira, who's worked on the website and is working on the website, and so many, many other people all around the world that I feel are now much more bonded and strong as an international community.
Yes, beautiful. Well, I'm really grateful to have this community here, and to have you and to be a part of this. It's very meaningful and important to me. So thank you, Heike.
Thank you, Sara.
Okay. Well, until next time, have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.